Oh, we already got the draft going. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to MV Black versus Dignitas. Game 2 on Tomb of the Spider Queen. It will be first pick, first ban for MV Black this go around. This is incredibly exciting. Yeah, Erratic, I'm doing fine for sleep. I appreciate the concern. For those of you who, again, I'm sure there's a lot of people new to stream. I'm not a full-time streamer. I have a full-time job, but I work from home. So I'm able to have a lot of flex in my schedule. That's why it's okay for me to stay up and cast these games for you the next 3 nights running. I would like to transition to being a full-time streamer, but I'm just not there yet. MV Black will be banning out Johanna. We've noticed, actually, a considerable amount of emphasis on goaltending from EU teams on Tomb of the Spider Queen. And what I mean by goaltending is heroes that have reasonably long-range abilities to constantly check the turn-in and make sure that turn-in cannot happen. If you keep interrupting turn-in over and over and over again, and you have a sufficient wave clear to pressure the map while the other team's trying to turn in and you're interrupting them, you can actually get in a position where you don't even need to turn in to start winning the map. And then once your lanes are all pushed in, you have vision. It's very difficult for the enemy team to go turn in because their lanes are so pushed in, they can just turn in for free over and over again. So we see a huge emphasis by EU teams who love the strategy on wave clear and goaltending. And Johanna has both. Condemn is really good wave clear, and shield clear is actually pretty good at goaltend. We're going to see Dignitas respond with the ETC ban. Which we have literally not seen ETC make it past the first ban phase in any of the games in this tournament so far. ETC is just not getting played in the pro scene right now because of how incredibly strong he is after his rework. His utility is off the charts, and he essentially has a point-and-click stun. His only weakness as a tank right now, honestly, is his relatively low HP pool for a tank. But that's pretty nitpicky. He's basically the best all-around tank in the pro meta right now. Muradin, for some heroes, is slightly better, just because Muradin is played at a very high level by heroes, by people like Sign, Han Kono, but it's too strong. So we are going to see MB Black pick up Malfurion. MB Black actually, Mary liked playing Malfurion in certain comps, even before Malfurion was good. We did see him play once in Super League by MB Black on Sky Temple in the summer. That was a pretty devastating game. I believe it was sub 12 minutes. We are going to see Dignitas pick up Tassadar here. And I'm kind of wondering if they're going to go Tassadar Vala. We have seen Tassadar Vala do a lot of work in this comps. I imagine part of that's a respect ban. Essentially, they're taking Tassadar away from Kyocha because Kyocha's force walls and his shields were incredibly good in Game 1. They were always on point. And his use of Oracle was just astounding. Always provided vision when it was needed. I'm surprised they picked up Tassadar without knowing immediately what they're going to pick next. Generally speaking, if you pick up Tassadar, there's some particular hero you're going to start building towards or around. Currently in the meta, the number 1 is Vala. We have seen Tracer be sort of a niche that gets picked up on some maps. Usually on maps where Tracer can really move around, though, and use her mobility to her advantage. We are going to see the Muradin pick up for Dignitas. Alright, so they are going to try and tank lock MV Black as much as possible. On any other map, I think this would actually be very reasonable. But MV Black has shown that they love playing Tyrael on this map. And anyone who's studied MV Black's history of playing on Tomb knows they actually like Stitches on Tomb of the Spider Queen. There was once a game where Sign played Stitches on Tomb of the Spider Queen and hit 28 out of 28 hooks. Literally did not miss a hook the entire game. Giving Sign Stitches on a map where he likes to play Stitches might be a little bit risky. I'm kind of curious, if MB Black does not pick up a tank here, okay, they are going to pick up the Tyrael. That doesn't necessarily mean Sign's playing it, it just means they have Tyrael in their composition. We'll have to see what they opt to go for. Tyrael Malfurion is a very strong composition just because Sanctification deals with burst, and Malfurion's healing over time is incredibly effective at doing everything else. Envy Black not willing to get more tank locked than they already were. Oh, and Leoric. Okay. So the question is this Sign. I think we're going to see Rich on Leoric, and we're going to see Tyrael on Sign. Leoric is actually a very good way to deal with Muradin. Muradin gets chunked very quickly by percent-based damage. He's forced to back out. He will have double support, but early on in the laning phase of the game, we can see a lot of pressure put on Muradin. Leoric will probably be the solo laner, but he has good enough wave clear that he'll be able to rotate up as necessary. This almost sort of forces Dignitas into picking up Chen to tie the lane, since it will be the solo lane. Would not be too surprised to see it banned out, but I think Envy Black is going to be a little bit more worried about that Vala pickup. Vala Tassadar is considered one of the strongest combinations in the game right now. And Dignitas has to figure out what range they're most afraid of. And the range they are most afraid of is indeed Li Ming. I'm actually a little bit surprised to see Leoric picked up that early. I don't think he would have been banned out, and Rich as a bruiser is amazing, but Rich on something like Alarak is devastating. I'm a little bit surprised that Envy Black ended up going through the Leoric. They opted for the wave clear. They're gonna play the wave clear game here. On Tomb the Spider Queen. And of course, wave clear is a massive consideration on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Tomb of the Spider Queen is the one map where wave clear never stops mattering. There are maps where you get into the very, very late game, and in a lot of ways, the only thing that matters is globals and team fight. But Tomb of the Spider Queen, wave clear always matters. It never stops mattering. And MVB Black is actually going to ban Illidan. They decide they don't want to have Tassadar Illidan come up against them. I'm a little bit surprised by that. This is considered Illidan's weakest map in the pro scene. Also, Dignitas has never really shown a strong proclivity for picking Illidan. I believe they only picked him once, ever, as a team, and they lost. But Dignitas is actually going to pick up the Tychus to counter the Tyrael Leoric pickups. No blinds available for MB Black. That's actually going to be a very strong decision. It does give them a certain amount of burst. It gives them a certain amount of synergy with Tassadar. I'm kind of wondering if they're going to go solo support Tassadar. Solo support Tassadar is something we only see in the EU scene, but we do see it quite a bit in the EU scene. Like, it's not a pocket strategy. It's just something that sort of happens some of the time because the EU teams really seem to like it as the style of their draft. We're not going to see it. They are going to pick up the Rhaegar. That leaves their last pick flexible to respond to whatever MB Black does pick up. I imagine we're going to see a Gul'dan pick out of MB Black just for that wave clear. We have seen them put a huge priority onto MB Black, or onto Gul'dan lately anyway. Whenever they need wave clear, we've seen quite a bit from them on Braxis in particular. It is going to be the Sylvanas, so we're going to see Kyocha on Sylvanas. That is one of his comfort picks. Gul'dan's still an option for Saki. We don't have a hero for Saki yet, so whatever the last pick is going to be what Saki ends up playing. And it actually is going to be the Greymane, so the Sanctification is going to enable Greymane. Greymane, there's a thread on Reddit right now about how Greymane is in a problem spot. He's one of the worst heroes in the game, bottom 5 win rate, but he's still played quite a bit in the Korean meta. When he's enabled well by a Sanctification, in particular Divine Shield, things like that, he is devastating to deal with. And the hero that's going to be enabled by that Tassadar is the Tracer. Dignitas holding it out for the last pick. For those of you who have not seen Saki play Greymane, you guys are in for a treat. Greymane, I think, has a very, very high skill floor right now, but he also requires his team to be good. And that's the difference between competitive play and Hero League play. when your team is on your side supporting you, there's certain heroes that you can do a lot more with. And Greymane currently falls squarely into that category. He needs his team to support him, but if his team supports him, he can pretty much just erase people. And I'm a little bit surprised to see Tracer picked up into a Greymane. It's a lot of confidence being displayed by Dignitas in their Tracer play. And we'll have to see how that works out for them. We'll get the game going momentarily here, assuming there's no other lag or other issues. I'm a little bit surprised that Dignitas drafted such weak wave clear. Dignitas, EU teams in general, really usually draft for wave clear on Team of the Spider Queen. They are sort of the PvE-oriented style of play. Dignitas in particular, it almost makes them sort of passive sometimes, but... Please turn up game audio. I will try to turn up the game audio when the game actually starts, guys. I do have a mixer for that. I'll see what I can do. You would like to hear my insights on that bow tie? It's crooked, which means it's probably a real bow tie. I approve. For those of you who are not familiar, the way you tie a bow tie, it's a standard butterfly knot, just the same way you tie your shoes. But that means the knot will always pull on one side. So unless you're constantly straightening it, a real bow tie will always be a little bit crooked. That's how you can tell the difference between real ones and clip-ons. Here we will have Sign on Tyrael, Rich on Leoric, Merry Day on Malfurion, Kyocha on Sylvanas, Saki on Greymane. That will be MVP Black. On the right-hand side of the map, we will have Dignitas. We're not going to get a cool intro for them. You'll have Athero on... Can't do it. Tracer, Bakery on Rhaegar, Mene on Tassadar, JPL on Muradin, and Snitch on Tychus. I'm going to boost the desktop audio a little bit if I can. If you can. I lied. Yeah, I'm sorry guys, there's no way for me to boost it. I will look into that tomorrow though, because I know the stream has been quiet. We're actually going to see Moonburn at level 1 from Malfurion, so MB Black actually the team that's going to be emphasizing wave clear here, and Dignitas is the team that's going to be forced to respond. We do see Tychus Leoric in the bot lane. Tassadar is rotating with, keeping up on the wave clear. They made this... this is actually not even that surprising decision. They actually needed Tassadar with the team in order to have enough wave clear to keep up with MB Black in the early game. Tychus, of course, will have an easy matchup versus Leoric. He can stay fairly far out. We're going to see actually a rotation by Sylvanas down to the bottom lane, trying to get some free damage onto that Tychus, force him to back up. That is going to help Rich out quite a bit. Kyocha will be able to rotate back up for the mid lane. And you can see MB Black is just rotating the map perfectly. They're doing these nice 15-second intervals. They have so much wave clear that they can split if necessary to keep the lanes pressured. We are going to see Leoric even coming up here, trying to get the sweep onto Athero. He does blink out of there. Time, however. Snitch rotates up as for the follow. If your partner in the solo lane leaves the solo lane, you leave the solo lane as well. And we're going to see Rich actually get a Q from Malfurion and then head back down. This is one of those things that I was talking about, a little bit difference between coordinated play and something like Hero League. If you're a solo laner on Tomb of Spider Queen and you're low, you can just walk up, get a free heal from your healer, and walk right back down. Okay? That simple act is going to keep Rich alive in that lane 100% of the time. He can be in that lane, not have to worry about getting chunked out by Tychus. And again, we're just going to see an enormous amount of damage coming out, an enormous amount of wave clear coming out from MB Black. So much wave clear with Moonburn, with that Sylvanas. And with Greymane even, Greymane with cocktails and his auto attacks, you know, he can go into Worgen form if he actually has to, just does so much amazing stuff. We're going to see Sign. A lot of rotation breaks here. The roots cast for Peel in that corridor that does force Dignitas to get back off. If any of them had been caught by that root, Enemy Black would have gone in on them with all of their damage available. We're going to see how Druins deny JPL the mount there in the bush. Keeping the tanks dismounted, keeping everyone dismounted really affects the rotations, especially when they're short on wave clear. You're going to see a lot of that throughout this entire game. After trying to get some free damage and then back out, he does have Tassadar shields. They are now leeching plasma shields, so that does give him some form of self-sustain as long as he's attacking. And as we can see, MB Black was so far ahead in the rotation, they actually managed to clear mid twice before they have to rotate back up to the top lane. Rich is winning bot lane. You can see he's over the middle point in that bot, forcing Tychus back. Tychus is forced to back up. I imagine he's landing a lot of Drain Hopes, plus the rotations from the mid lane. Every so often have also been helping him as well. He does miss his Drain Hope there onto JPL. He really wanted to get that force Murden back. MB Sign's going to take a lot of damage, but he's going to be absolutely... No, he is going to go down. But we're going to see Saki come in. The explosion does do a lot of damage to Athero. And we're going to see Pulse Bomb even go down on Saki. He does manage to disengage. He is going to get out of there. He has enough health. And Dignitas actually going into the mid game now. They have these level 4 talents starting to make something happen with these kills and with the disruption. Snitch, however, is going to be forced to back by that Drain Hope from Rich, getting him significantly chunked. And meanwhile, Kyocha just trying to do as much clear as possible. JPL, oh, the dodge on the Stormbolt. Kyocha does manage a Haunting Wave out of there. And Dignitas actually, despite having worse wave clear, they are now ahead in experience based off of that kill, based off the disruption they managed to do to MB Black's style of play to their rotations. Very nicely done by Dignitas. They're actually ahead on this map. This is the map they came closest to winning against MB Black at BlizzCon, so I'm not surprised to see they have a really strong understanding of it, of the margins of exactly how little wave clear they can get away with and still make plays in the early game. Because you don't want to fall behind in the early game against a team like MB Black. They will bully you. But MB Black, despite the fact they're behind in experience, manages to sneak that turn, and they are going to get the first turn of the game, and that is going to get all of their lanes pushed back out. And again, we do see Leoric in the bot lane just bullying Tychus. I don't know how. I wish the casters would pan down so we could see exactly how it is that Leoric is beating Tychus in lane that badly. Because, I mean, it's rich, but Tychus is like literally behind his gate. We are going to see Sign take a lot of damage here. He is going to barely get out. He did take a lot of damage. We are going to see Kyocha get stunned out. Fortunately for him, no one else was in a position to follow up on that stun by GPL. And we are going to see Sylvanas pushing with Webweavers is going to start to get a lot of value here, just because the buildings are being stunned, the Webweavers are not taking that free damage, the minion wave is going to be pushed up as well. And we're going to see Saki's intense single target damage come into play here. This is one of the beauties, this is one of the beautiful parts of this comp that we didn't really talk about. The single target siege damage means that as soon as Sylvanas pushes the wave up all the way to the buildings, Greymane can just dive in and push the building down. They do overextend a lot to get that forward, however, and Kyocha and Saki both go down as a result. Leoric in the bot lane did push in considerably. He backs up for tap, going to come back in, and might even get bottom fort here as well. 2 forts off the first turn in is very reasonable. Oh, Rich actually misses the Drain Hope that forces him to back out. First rule of Leoric Club is if you miss your W, the fight's over. You need to back up until your W is up again. That applies to team fights and 1v1s. So as soon as that Drain Hope was missed, immediately we see the disengage from Rich. And as we can see, he is going to go down regardless. This will allow him to be a mobile ward, however. He will be able to scout the turn-ins. And Malfurion does have a Loon's Grace at level 4. So he should be able to get the goaltending here as long as JPL doesn't interrupt it. We see JPL is doing that aggressive interruption. And Dignitas manages to secure themselves a turn-in off the back of that kill on Leoric. Very nicely done by them. You're going to see, again, Rich playing very aggressively, but this time he hit his W, and he's going to be absolutely fine. A little bit of an interesting talent pickup at 7 for Rich. We do see Lingering Apparition be the pickup that is going to give him the increased range on Wraithrock. That's going to allow him to push in very, very aggressively and get out safely, combined with Hardened Bones a lot of the time. Entomb is going to be the pickup. We're actually going to see Sign go down again. Beautiful pick off right there with the Force Wall and the knockarounds to prevent him from casting. Entomb, Go for the Throat, Sanctification, Twilight Dream, and Wailing Arrow going to pick up from Enemy Black against Force Wall, Ancestral Avatar, Draken Laser Drill, and Quantum Spike, actually. Oh, Sign does manage to actually get picked off that time. And this Web Weaver push is still going, but it's worth noting that Enemy Black basically got two forts off of their first push. The Web Weavers, whereas Dignitas basically just managed to depush their lanes, didn't even really get a lot of structures. And we're going to see the goaltending again. We're going to see JPL just trying to be as annoying as possible. This is one of the advantages of Muradin. You can be on the map like that, focus on targets, get your stacks for Perfect Storm, which you did take at level 1, and then immediately jump out. They decided they're not going to be able to stop turn-in, but they don't care because Enemy Black does not actually have enough gems to turn in. Dignitas is instead going to grab their bruisers. This is going to help them push into the mid lane. And this is, again, one of the reasons that wave clear is always so incredibly valuable on Tomb of the Spider Queen, is that if you have good enough wave clear, the objective doesn't matter because you clear it out so fast, the enemy team doesn't even get any value out of it. And if you can keep your waves cleared up and push them, when you get a turn in, you'll get incredible amounts of value. So Dignitas has put themselves on a very narrow path with this draft. They have to secure multiple kills in the mid game, and mid and late game, or they just lose to better wave clear. That's what's going to happen here. We do see a beautiful fight going down. Lots of heroics used. Entomb on multiple targets, but Sanctification came down. Twilight Dream as well. Bakery is extremely low. Rich does use that lingering apprehension. Almost actually misses the Drain Hope, but Bakery's running away from safety. He is going to try and turn around. We can see he's being zoned out by Kyocha and Sign, while the chase continues by Rich onto Snitch. And Bakery is not going to get out of this, guys. He's just not. He is just creating space for his team to disengage. He does finally end up going down. And despite really good force wall placements, despite some really clutch use of heroics, it ends up being a 2 for none. Enemy Black just out team fighting Dignitas again. And Bruiser Camp is going to be pushing in the mid lane. Meanwhile, Envy Black will secure another turn with the gems they picked up from the laning and from those kills. This will be Dignitas against a Sylvanas Greymane push down a Palantir. And we're going to see the aggressive counter engage here. They're trying to get on top of Kyocha and take him off. Kyocha is the linchpin of this pushing strategy by Envy Black. If a Pharaoh could have gotten on top of him and made that work, that would have been amazing, but not quite enough. You're going to see the top 4 get instantly erased here. Again, Leoric in the bot lane pushing in against Tychus. And I'm really concerned that Dignitas just doesn't have enough kill potential. I mean, I understand why they put Tychus up against Leoric in the solo lane because, they needed the wave clear of Tassadar to keep the other lanes pushed out. But with double support, they're putting a lot of expectation on Tracer to be able to secure kills by herself. And she has enough burst to do it past Malfurion's level of healing against, and she has the mobility to get on top of Kyocha and Meriday and make that happen. But, now Meriday has Ice Block, which means that Kyocha is really the only target where Tracer can go in and expect to reasonably get that instantaneous kill. We are going to see her go down, however, or him go down. Tracer is no longer alive. We're going to see a beautiful silence that is going to kill JPL. Could not pop Avatar. It was aggressive dive in, trying to make something happen there. He does have healing static. He did pick up 13. But without Avatar, he just wasn't going to be alive, and the silence did prevent that from going up. That's going to be pop and middle keep off this turn, and another beautiful Sank off of the Entomb, forcing Snitch to just go. He's not going to make it out. Did try and heal up with that's the stuff, but it just wasn't enough. And Rich draining Bakery here. He is going to have Lingering Apparition. He can't get out. Saki is extremely low. Does end up going down. Athero finally managing to secure that kill. And they actually get a kill onto Rich on the Orc in the bottom as well. That is two for 1, depending on how you want to count that. But Dignitas has now lost 2 keeps. And if they didn't, if they felt the pressure before with their lack of wave clear, they're going to feel it even more now with catapults pushing in 2 lanes. And again, this game is not over. If Dignitas manages to soak 16 and definitively wins a couple of team fights, they will have the ability to push back in. But they're so short on wave clear that they really have to kill the enemy team in order to have their lanes get pushed back. And we do see Rich take a lot of damage there. In the Rhythm was the pickup at level 4 for Tychus, so we're going to start... We've seen him build up quite a bit of stacks all game long at this point. And you can see he did do a lot of damage. It's going to be a while before Enemy Black has a turn in. Dignitas does have a turn in, but Enemy Black is not going to let that happen. They're going to keep it pushed in. They're actually going to go aggressive here and invade the Bruisers. This is, again, one of the advantages of having Greymane on your team. Greymane's single target damage is so incredibly high that if you're supporting him, he can just instantly do a camp. Look at how fast that camp got burned down. Sylvanas did help a lot, of course. And they're actually going to split push bottom. They have the Bruiser camp pushing mid. They're just going to go in on this keep. Force a fight. Either Dignitas engages in this fight or they get this keep for free. Those are pretty much the only two options. And that Force Ball trying to split the fight in half. JPL does come in a little bit, gets chunked, immediately backs up. We're going to see Saki did eat a Pulse Bomb there, but he's going to be able to come back out of that just fine. Kyocha is extremely low, does do a short little Haunting Wave to disengage a little bit. We're going to see Athero again, or Athero again in the back line. We're going to see Lingering Apparition from Rich. He actually is just sitting there taking that damage from Tychus' minigun. Wandering around, seeing if he can keep the wave pushed up, if he wants to re-engage or not. He doesn't end up disengaging, but that is going to be bottom key for MD Black. They played that so patiently, didn't overextend at all. Dignitas tried to get kills, but wasn't going to happen. If anyone was low, they went in. And we're actually going to see Root plus Entomb used purely for the disengage. And you can see the emphasis here on Leoric's survivability and his wave clear. He did pick up Burning Rage at 13 and Imposing Presence deal with that Tychus. We almost always, and the Tracer, we almost always see the full W build coming out of competitive Leorics these days, but this is a specific for this map. They really want the wave clear. They want as much wave clear as they can possibly get. And they don't want to depend on the W, but they also want to give Rich as much survivability as possible, so they did pick up that Imposing Presence. Other talents, pretty much standard across the board. We are seeing the new Skullcracker from Murden, along with Give Him the Axe. But otherwise, we're seeing pretty standard. We're going to see a beautiful fight here. Snitch gets dived in on by Greymane, and Sank comes down. We're going to see Ancestral onto Murden, but oh my god, that Entomb over the wall Biggery does get absolutely caught in it. He is going to get drained, but he's going to get out, but that does split the team. Mene going to go the other way, using E to get out of that situation. Kyocha is extremely long. Mene just did the BMGG. Wait, what? The Observer got confused for a second there and did pause the game. I guess Dignitas is giving out. Okay. So MB Black's just going to go core and end the game. I don't know why there was a pause there. I don't know why they paused. But that will be 2-0 for MVP Black, and I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed. Dignitas, Tomb of the Spider Queen is an EU special. It is arguably EU's best map across their entire scene. They have a really strong understanding of that map. And they didn't draft Wave Clear, which is the most important thing on Tomb of the Spider Queen. I don't understand.